Mm.
People at Dakshineshwar hardly knew she was living there because they never saw her.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
very austere life. But she never felt it was an austerity.
Mm-hmm.
Us looking at it, go, oh my goodness, how could anyone do that? I mean, the Nahabat looks to me, or seemed when I looked in there, not to be more than 8 feet across, and it's circular. And you've all read in the, Life of Holy Mother, she did all of her cooking in there, she slept in there, she had guests in there, she had everything in this. It looked to me like an 8, maybe a 10-foot circle, but not much more than that.
Wow. Do you think bigger, a little bigger than your small shrine down in the back
A
or
different
about?
configuration. I think our small shrine is 6 by 9, the
Okay.
floor part,
Yeah.
approximately 6 or 7 by 9 feet. It was, yeah, but it was round. So, I'm not a super judge of distance, but Vrajaprana, what would you say it was?
What's that?
The Nahabat, I'd say 8 feet diameter across.
At the most.
She says at the most.
Mm.
But
Very small.
very small. It was meant, well, most of those, like the other one, was meant for musicians to sit and play music, but not to live.
Wow.
Yeah. And the Udbodhan was a 2 or 3 story building. I know for sure 2 stories. For sure.
I don't think there's a third story.
Vrajaprana doesn't think there's a 3rd story. I was never sure because it looked like it to me, but we never went beyond 2. There was the ground floor and the 1st floor. I just don't know. Maybe we'll find out in today's reading.
Was that the building that Girish's little baby went up to see Holy Mother, and Girish was embarrassed to, present himself in front of her?
I'm not sure.
Okay, because I always thought of that as having an open, I don't know,
No, it was in that.
patio kind of thing.
Well,
I don't know.
it could have been there. She had 2 places she stayed. She also stayed at Neelam Babu's house very close to Dakshineshwar, and that she was up in the upstairs, and there was an open veranda on the top, on the roof, which was where she did the panchatapas, the 5
Ah.
flame, sitting in the middle of 4 fires with the sun overhead. And that was not a very large area either. But she had quarters up there that she stayed in for a while, I think before the Udbodhan was built. I'm not sure. I'm never sure on time frames. Okay, so today we're starting on page 44. And we just read the letter that I think it was Sister Nivedita wrote to Holy Mother. When she talked about Sri Ramakrishna's own chalice of his love for the world, a token left with his children. In these lonely days, and we shall be very still and quiet before you, except indeed for a little fun. Surely the wonderful things of God are all quiet, stealing unnoticed into our lives. The air and the sunlight and the sweetness of gardens and of the Ganga, These are the silent things that are like you. Isn't your thought now and then of the high calm that neither loves nor hates? Isn't that a sweet benediction that trembles in God, like the dewdrop on the lotus leaf, and touches not the world? Swami Saradananda translated this letter into Bengali and read it to Holy Mother. While listening to the words of Nivedita, she entered into a high, introspective mood and blessed both Nivedita and Sarabol from the depth of her heart. Swami Saradananda bowed down and touched the feet of the mother and went downstairs to return to work. Perhaps he pondered over the words, "The wonderful things of God are all quiet, stealing unnoticed into our lives," and prayed silently that God make us all simple and truly beautiful. Seated in a small downstairs room at the Udbodhan house, the Swami regulated Holy Mother's visitors. Sometimes he jestingly introduced himself to a stranger as her doorman. Assuming the responsibility for her care had not been easy. It involved not only looking after Mother's person, but her family. 4 or 5 monastic members when she was at Jairambati, and at all times her 3 nieces, who were eccentric and infirm. Radhu's protracted illness had cost the mother heavily, draining away her slender and unstable income. Most of her devotees came from middle-class families, and regardless of their desire to help, they could not donate liberally. Finally, Swami Saradananda wrote to Sarabol in Boston for help. Immediately, Swami Saradananda Sarabol arranged to send 250 rupees a month to meet the mother's expenses. Once Holy Mother told Swami Arupananda, "I shall be able to be at the Udbodhan so long as Sharat is there. I don't see anyone who can be responsible for me after that. Sharat can in every respect. He is the man to bear my burden." Swami Arupananda asked if Swami Brahmananda could look after her needs. "No, my child, that is not his temperament." The mother answered, "He is cast in a different mold. It is difficult for him to bring his mind down to meet situations which are of a complicated nature. His mind soars always very high. He can look after me mentally or attend to my needs through someone else." "What about Swami Premananda?" Arupananda asked. "No, he can't either. But he is running the Belar Mat. That may be, but looking after women is a bother. He can keep an eye on me only from a distance." Her remarks reminded me of the time when Sri Ramakrishna sat on Sharat's lap for a little while and remarked as he got up, "I was testing to see how much weight you could bear." I believe he was more than testing. By that touch, he gave the Swami to bear the heavy responsibility for Holy Mother's care and the administration of the Ramakrishna Matan mission. Holy Mother called the Swami her Vasuki, the mythical snake, who protected her with 1,000 hoods. If anyone tried to persuade the mother to go to Calcutta when the Swami was absent, she would say, "There can be no question of my going to Calcutta when Sharat is not there. To whom shall I go? Suppose I'm in Calcutta and Sharat says that he wants to go elsewhere for a few days. Then I tell him, 'Wait a little, my child. First of all, let me leave this place, and then you may go.'" In her last days, she was heard to remark, "I'm tired of this life. I shall now depart, taking Sharat in my arms and carrying him wherever I go." The Swami wept like a child on hearing this. Swami Saradananda always kept Holy Mother informed about efforts of the Ramakrishna mission to provide relief in drought, famine, and other calamities. In 1919, the Swami wrote a long letter to the mother describing the suffering of people throughout India from a terrible famine and an influenza epidemic. He sought her blessings and prayed to her that the mission would get the necessary funds from the public for relief activities. Holy Mother burst into tears when an attendant read her the letter. With a choked voice, she said, "I cannot bear the suffering of the people anymore. O Lord, may you be pleased to do something for them. Be kind enough to put an end to all their sorrows and pain." Then she looked at the devotees scattered around her and said, "Have you seen the heart of Sharat? You will not find another person with so big a heart as Sharat's, excepting surely Narayan's. There may be illumined souls, knowers of Brahman, but you will not find another man in India or elsewhere so kind, so compassionate, so generous as you see in the personality of Sharat. His heart cries for the suffering of man. He is like the great protector, protecting people with food, shelter, and clothing, whatever may be their needs. No one can be compared to him. As his heart is big, so his love is vast and all-embracing." In her conversations with her lay disciples, Holy Mother instructed them to live active lives while maintaining inner calm. She used Swami Saradananda to show it could be done. One day she said, "Just see Sharat, how much work he is doing, how many burdens he is bearing on his shoulders, but he does not whisper a word of complaint to anybody. His mouth is shut. He is truly a holy man. Why should he bother about all these things? Men like him, if they wish, can easily sit quietly and concentrate on God, devoting their time to meditation for hours and hours together. Why did they not do that? It is only for your good that they bring their minds to a lower plane and engage themselves in all kinds of activities for the sake of suffering humanity." Holy Mother had absolute trust in the Swami. Sometimes she would be hesitant to initiate a devotee, but if the devotee were eager and persistent, she would invariably say, "Go to Sharat. If he says yes, I will give." For his part, Swami Saradananda implicitly obeyed every one of the mother's instructions and carried out unquestioningly her wishes, with one exception. It happened this way. In 1920, Holy Mother was stricken with Kala-azar, a dangerous and painful fever-ridden disease. Her doctors had prescribed a bitter Western medicine to be taken several times a day, and a bland diet consisting mainly of barley water and milk. She followed this regime without complaint for a long time, but finally it caused her to lose both her appetite and her temper. She scolded her attendant, Sarala Devi. "You know only two things. Bring the thermometer to see the temperature, and bring barley water and milk, coaxing me to drink more and more. I'm tired of all this." She asked a niece to buy her some puffed rice and food fried in mustard oil, which Jairambati people are very fond of, but which is harmful to Kala-azar patients. From a neighborhood shop, one that had a reputation for selling food of not the best quality. When the food was brought to her, she gave some to her niece and put the rest in a cup for herself. She was about to savor the food fried in mustard oil when Swami Saradananda entered the room. One of her attendants had run to him for help, and as he had climbed the stairs, he wondered how he was going to say no to Holy Mother, and yet his sense of responsibility for her well-being compelled him to do just that. Seeing him coming, Holy Mother hid the cup behind her back. "My child, why have you come? What can I do for you?" The Swami, who had entered her presence with folded hands, knelt down before her, saying, "Mother, I have come for a purpose, and I beg you to fulfill it. I request you to give me the cup that is behind your back. All of your children downstairs, including me, will eat its contents joyfully, and we will fill it for you again when you are well." At first, Mother, like a little village girl, holding on to her favorite thing, was reluctant to yield it up, but she finally did, with the knowledge that Saradananda was asking for it only to serve her. The incident reminds me of a few lines from a poem. Who can fathom the depth of the heart of an illumined soul, sometimes softer than a flower, sometimes harder than a thunderbolt? He walks and moves in the world, spreading the aroma of sweetness and compassion, standing solidly on the firm rock of responsibility that he considers a gift from God as a token of his love. It was because of the efforts of Swami Saradananda that the mother consented to have her birthday observed at Vedanta centers throughout the world. One day in December 1919, he approached her with folded hands, saying, "Mother, the devotees for a long time have expressed their desire to me to celebrate your birthday here. If you would permit, we will have the festival here and perform a special worship of Sri Ramakrishna, and the devotees will be invited to partake with their families." Holy Mother replied, "If all want it, let it be done." The construction of the Udbodhan house put a heavy burden of debt on Swami Saradananda, but the debt caused him to write a biography of Sri Ramakrishna that acquainted many with the Master for the first time and clarified his moods and messages for even long-time devotees. The Swami carefully collected all that was known about Sri Ramakrishna and sifted through it painstakingly to give an accurate account of his life up to the year before his death. The book was written under conditions that would have defeated most authors. The publishing quarters of the Udbodhan were noisy, crowded, and bustling with activity, most of which required the Swami's frequent supervision. But he sat writing at his tiny desk with the same concentration he gave to meditating on the Lord, and the first section of the book was published in the November 1909 issue of the Udbodhan. Subsequent chapters continued to appear year after year as the book progressed. The magazine continued to require his articles. These were later published in a book called Bharati Shakti Puja, in English, The Worship of God as Mother in India. He also wrote articles for the Ramakrishna Mission's English journal, Prabhupada Bharata, and assumed the responsibility of editing Swami Vivekananda's book, Jnana Yoga. His duties as General Secretary of the Matan Mission constantly clamored for his time and energy. Meanwhile, his work on these activities was often interrupted by the stream of devotees coming at all hours to see Holy Mother upstairs. Swami Saradananda would often walk to Girish Chandra Ghosh's house on Bashpura Lane, close to the Udbodhan, and read him the chapter he had just finished writing. He would patiently wait for the playwright's opinion, for the Swami considered Girish Babu, to use the Indian term of respect, an outstanding figure in Bengali literature. Girish Babu was delighted with the book and gave the Swami tremendous encouragement in his work. In this way, a friendship grew between the two very different personalities. Girish Ghosh was not only not a monastic, He had led a wild, careening life in the bohemian circles of Calcutta before meeting Sri Ramakrishna and becoming his disciple. Even then, his boisterous ways and carousing did not stop. Finally, as Swami Saradananda recorded in Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, in his chapter on the attitude of the Guru, Sri Ramakrishna persuaded Girish Ghosh to give him the power of attorney over all his activities. The famous incident began when Sri Ramakrishna gave the dramatist a number of minimal religious disciplines to perform. But Ghosh, knowing his own fiery nature and profligate tendencies, doubted his ability to perform even these few basics. Finding Girish silent, Swami Saradananda wrote, the master looked at him and, knowing his thoughts, said, "Very well, if you cannot do that, remember him, God, once before taking and before going to bed." Ghosh was in a terrible, sorry plight and remained motionless and speechless, but there raged, as it were, a storm of anxiety, fear, and despair in his heart. The master looked at Girish again and then said, smiling, "You will say, what if I cannot do even that? Very well then, give me your power of attorney." Power of attorney is a transference of responsibility to a trustworthy person who will execute all legal matters in court on behalf of the person who has signed such a deed. Ghosh agreed at once, thinking he had found the lazy man's path to God. Having a person whom many noted religious figures regarded as a living incarnation of God, acting as on one's behalf, seemed a surefire path to success. But there is a deeper meaning to Sri Ramakrishna's offer. This meaning was revealed to Ghosh's mind as he began to associate with Sri Ramakrishna and learn from him over a period of several years. The dramatist found that his agreement would required, among other things, thinking of Sri Ramakrishna with great frequency, and as a result, his life was transformed. The public agreed with Girish Ghosh's opinion of the Swami's writing. Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga, in English, Sri Ramakrishna the Great Master, quickly became a classic of Bengali literature and has been translated into many different languages. Of all Sri Ramakrishna's monastic disciples, only Swami Saradananda kept a diary of day-to-day events, particularly those incidents that were connected with Holy Mother during her sojourn on earth. In Vedanta, traditionally, there had been a feeling that spiritual aspirants should not pay much attention to time. They should practice constant remembrance of God with the purpose of realizing God, a timeless experience. History belongs to time. Samadhi, the experience of God, transcends time. All concepts and objects belonging to the world of change and relationship, to Maya, are essentially distractions from the purpose of realizing God. The advent of Sri Ramakrishna is intended to bring about a reconciliation between time and timelessness, reason and faith, action and contemplation. This is the reason that Swami Saradananda took great pains to record in his biography, Sri Ramakrishna the Great Master, only those incidents that he could gather from actual eyewitnesses. He always sifted facts from opinions. He would unceasingly encourage me to distinguish what I had seen from what I had heard from others, and then to verify the truth of what I had heard. He was a staunch admirer, an uncompromising advocate of truth, both historical, vyavaharika, and transcendental truth. Here are a few excerpts from his diary pertaining to Holy Mother's last days. Friday, February 27, 1920. Sri Sri Ma reached here from Jairambati at 9 p.m. in Dr. Kanjilal's motor car. She had fallen ill and had been brought to Calcutta for treatment. Saturday, February 1920. H.M. under Dr. Kanjilal's treatment. He was a homeopathic physician. Monday, March 1, 1920. Sri Sri Ma better, though suffering slight rise of temperature in the afternoon. Wednesday, March 3. H.M. better and free from fever. Friday, March 5th. H.M. had gone to 101 degrees in temperature in afternoon. Friday, March 12th. H.M. fever rose higher. Shamadas Kaviraj treatment began. Thursday, April 8th. H.M. not better with Kaviraj treatment, so Bipin Ghosh took up her case from today. Saturday, May 1st. Dr. P.D. Bose called for H.M. And there's a big thing. Dr. Bose is an Indian Christian. He was the chief physician of St. Paul's Cathedral Mission College, where I studied for my BA degree. On his first visit, he took his usual fee. But after hearing from Swami Saradananda that his patient was the wife of Sri Ramakrishna, whom he had come to respect from reading the Bengali version of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, he refused to accept a fee for his subsequent visits. He continued to give his services freely and to visit Mother frequently until her Mahasamadhi. Sunday, May 16th. Okay. Dr. P.D. Bose declared this case to be Kala-Azar. I believe Kala-Azar is a virulent disease characterized by high fever and a darkening of the skin that is said to be brought on by the darkening of the red blood corpuscles. In English, it is called the black fever. It is rarely found in the West. Dr. U.N. Brahmachari, who discovered Sauermann as the antidote for the disease, was requested to give an injection. Swami Saradananda noted in his diary, Dr. U.N. Brahmachari left very sad and disappointed at the news. What to do next? Tuesday, June 1. Doctors seem to have come to their tether's end with regard to the case of Holy Mother. So Kaviraj Rajendran Nath was called today and given charge of the case. Thursday, June 17th. Sri Sri Ma was ill with indigestion and inflammatory pain in stomach. Very serious condition, but Kaviraj says it will pass. Buddha says, this is his own insert, all compound things must come under the law of decadence and decay. Therefore, O Ananda, be a lamp unto yourself and work out your salvation with diligence. July 20, Tuesday. Holy Mother in peace and glory of Mahasamadhi at 1:30 a.m. July 21, Wednesday. Procession to Bellarmont via Baranagar at about 10:30 a.m. and the Yajna, oblation in fire, at 3 p.m. A heavy shower ended the ceremony at dusk. August 1, Sunday. Special puja of the Ramakrishna order at Belur and Calcutta, Mats, on account of the ascension of Holy Mother. August 2, Monday. Special puja at the Nivedita Girls' School. This is, okay, we can do this. I think we will stop there because the next thing is quite a long article, a long article that Shivananda wrote of the Holy Mother, and then there's some answers of what Holy Mother said. So I think we'll stop there today. And if there are any questions or comments on any of the things that we've read, please ask. Okay. Then we are getting ready for this Saturday. Swami Saradananda will give his Bhagavad Gita class at 5 here in the temple and on Zoom and YouTube. And Sunday his topic is the power of desireless action. Okay, and if there are no other comments or questions, then we'll close. Okay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Have a good weekend. Stay well. And we'll see you, I don't think we'll see you the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I think we canceled that one. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll see you on Saturday after Thanksgiving. Okay. Good to see your faces, and our best and love to all of you.